if y'all have paid a lot of attention to the news lately, but I heard something that was, I don't know, it was kind of sad. They've decided that they're not going to have a Christmas celebration in Washington, D.C. this year. They said they kept looking and they just couldn't find 3 wise men to play the part. If you will, let's turn in your Bibles to Luke chapter 1. Luke chapter 1. We're going to be talking about Mary this morning. A little bit about her life. Luke chapter 1, we're going to be starting on verse 26. We'll read to 31. Luke 1, 26 to 31. If you will, read it aloud with me. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God unto a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And the angel came in unto her and said, Hail, thou art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Jesus. This morning I want to talk about Mary's plans. There's a lot of different things that people have said over the years about how old Mary was, but we know that she was around the age of 16 when all of this happened. And for us to really understand the mindset of Mary, we have to understand where she's coming from. Now, how many of us have been a teenager in our lives?
I think I was.
Some of you may have a problem remembering it. Mary had plans. She had hopes. She had things that she wanted to do, wanted to accomplish with her life. And we look, and at the very beginning of that section of Scripture, it talks about a plan that she already had. She was already espoused, already promised to Joseph. Everything was already mapped out for her. Now, during that time, it wasn't exactly like it is now, where you meet someone and you fall in love and you spend all this time dating and then you get married. Then it was, you're going to marry him, and that's just the way it's going to be. But she had been promised, she had in her mind set that this is what's going to happen. She had her plans mapped out. I don't know what else she had in her mind, how many kids she thought she would have, where she thought they would live, how she thought her life would go. But I'm pretty sure that what's going on here is not what she had in mind. She didn't expect for an angel to come flying into her room or appear there, however it happened. She didn't expect for that to happen. She didn't expect for this proclamation that she was going to give birth to the Son of God. She didn't expect that. She had other plans, other goals, other dreams, other things that she wanted to do with her life. But here through the window comes an angel, or however it happened. I keep imagining an angel flying in through the window. But anyways, however it happened, there was an angel in her room telling her she's going to have the Son of God. She had plans. But now, there's been a proclamation made. A proclamation that she's going to have the Son of God. And you know, big news brings big changes. Big news brings big changes. We look at Matthew and Joyce. They haven't been married that long. But I'm pretty sure that once y'all decided to get married, that there was that period of time where it was all happy, hee, ha, ha for a little while. And then it hits you. Hey, we're getting married. That was big news to you. And it brought big changes to your life. In the way that you approach things, the way you think about things, the way you handle your own lives. Because you know you have something that's coming. We all have big news that has come into our lives at some point or another. One thing that's good about having your parents in the church that you're preaching at is you can always say, well, they remember when I was born and the changes that happened because of that. I'm sure that when the angel appeared to them and told them that they would be having a son and his name would be Josh, or Joshua, that brought big changes too. Don't give me that look. Big news brings big changes. Completely changes your life. The bigger the news, the bigger the changes. Mary had plans, and now she has the news that she's not just going to give birth to a son. She's giving birth to the Son of God. That's bigger news than we could even imagine. I want you for a second just to put yourself in that position. Your life's mapped out. You're just a little teenager. And now you're going to give birth to the Son of God. Huge news. Huge news. The appearance of the angel made a huge impact on Mary's life. But you know, it doesn't just stop there. It doesn't just stop with her plans. It doesn't just stop with the proclamation. She had something she had to do. She had to make the choice to go on through with it. You see, she could have done something to end it. We live in a world where suicide rates are climbing every day. She didn't have to go through with it. She didn't. She had to make the choice. She had to choose to go God's way. And it wasn't easy. Here she is, unmarried, a young girl, her whole life ahead of her. Like I said, all the plans that she had. And here's news that now she's pregnant. And in that time, it was completely different than today. Because she was pregnant, Joseph could have her cast out. He could have her stoned. Huge news. A huge change in her life. She didn't have to go through with it, but she knew that it was what God wanted for her. She knew that it was God's will for her life. And she decided to go ahead, to follow God, to do what He wanted her to do. People around her didn't like it. I'm sure they talked and gossiped and all kinds of things. A lot of times we overlook the choice that Joseph had to make to go through with the marriage. Huge change. And at times it wasn't fun. But it was God's way. It was God's plan. It was the way He wanted things to go. You know, a lot of times we find ourselves at a crossroads. We're walking through life. And suddenly God puts His will in our way. And it's heading off in a different direction than the way we had planned out. And we look at that, and we know that it's God's will. We know that's the direction He wants us to go. But then we look over to our right and we see that, well, I wanted to go this way. I wanted to do these things. And if I go to this direction, if I go this way, then my whole life's changed. Everything I hoped for, everything I wanted to do before, it's different. It's different. It's kind of like accepting the call to preach. You have your life mapped out the way you want it to go. Things that you want. I wanted a big house, bunch of cars. Wanted to go to Alabama and become a lawyer. Even thought about an architect. I would have been a good lawyer though. But you have plans. And then God says, no, that's not the direction I want you to go. I've got different plans for you. And when your life takes such a drastic turn, all those things that you looked for, you hoped for, you had planned for, when they begin to disappear as the life that you're living begins to change, it makes a difference. It can make an impact on you. That's why a lot of times people will accept the call and part of the way through give up. Because they see how far away from where they wanted to be they truly are. But when you really accept God's will in your life, when you really accept it, you forget there was even a road there to begin with. You set it aside and you say, that's not right. That's not what God has for me. And you commit yourself to the path that He has led you down. You find new hopes, new dreams, new blessings. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a huge house, a lot of cars, and all of the money that would come along with it. But it's so much better to find yourself in the center of God's will, doing exactly what He wants you to do, being with the people He wants you to be with, the place He wants you to be, doing exactly what He's asked you to do. The blessings that can come from doing God's will far outweigh any riches, money, land, cars, anything that the world can give you. God's will always will be better. Every time. Every time. So when Mary heard that she was going to be giving birth to the Son of God, yeah, it was a huge change for her. A huge change. Completely transformed her life in a way she never imagined would happen. And yeah, a lot of her dreams were lost. A lot of the things she wanted to do were gone forever. She never would be able to do those things again. People would never look at her the same again. But she chose to go with God. She chose to do what He wanted her to do. Around 33 years later, she finds herself at the foot of a cross. God's will. God's will. While His plans, while His roads may not take us to the place that we hope for, we dream for, or we even just slightly want, if we've chosen to go with God, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because no matter how hard your life may be, no matter how many people come against you and say that it's wrong, that you're doing something that you shouldn't be, that God doesn't want you to suffer like that. No matter what comes against you in life, if you're going God's way, that's the only way to go. It's the only way to find blessing. It's the only way to find peace. It's the only way to find true happiness. Going to school down at Hope Sound, we were right next to Jupiter Island. The richest people in the world lived on that island. So rich that if you try to Google them on the Google map and see an image of it, they've had it blocked out so you can't see any of it. Rich people and unhappy people. All of the money they could ever hope for. Nothing that they want. And sad and angry. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how poor you are. Because poor people can be bitter too. If you don't have God, if you're not going His way, if you don't have His will in your mind and in your heart, you'll be unhappy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you follow God and every day is sunshine and clover and everything's going to go your way and it's going to be great and you'll be laughing all the time and smiling everywhere you go. No, I'm not saying that. Hard times will come. Difficult times will be there. Things won't go the way you want them to go. And even sometimes when you think that's what should happen, sometimes it won't. But you have one thing with God that you don't have outside of His will. And that's the peace of knowing that whatever's going on around you, you're exactly where He wants you to be. And if you are where the Creator of the universe wants you to be, if you are where the one that put time into motion wants you to be, if you are in that spot, everything is under control. Mary's life changed in a way she couldn't imagine. And sometime yours will too, if it hasn't already. The question is, whose side have you chosen? Or whose side will you choose? Yours or God's? It's your choice.